Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Northwest Small Batch Brewing. I'm Steven, and I hope you're having a great day. So today is a little experiment day. I'm gonna basically make a beer using bread yeast, and I'm gonna compare it to the exact same beer using ale yeast. So before I get started, if you're new here, take a look around my channel. I do a lot of videos on home brewing, start to finish, full brew days, beer, cider, different kinds of experiments. I break down individual parts of the brewing process and do videos. So anyway, if you like what you see, it would help my channel out tremendously if you hit the like, thumbs up button. And if you subscribe, you'll get notified every time I put out a new video. So hit the subscribe button, and that way, next time I do a video, it'll give it a little notification to you on your YouTube that I put out a new video. So let's get started. I will go ahead and post a video link to. So here's what I did. I made basically a week or two ago. I made a video on how to make your very first beer. It's an extract 1 gallon beer. But I had enough extract to make two separate 1 gallon batches. So I will put a link up here to that video so you can see, if you want, the process of going from start to finish, not finish, but up to the point where I have the beer in the fermenter and I'm getting ready to put the yeast in. So I will post a video to that up here. And you can watch it if you want. And in the meantime, let's roll to the video of me finishing up this beer and putting the yeast in it and getting it ready to start to ferment. All right, guys. So this is the second batch of beer I made. I did an extract beer. I'll post a link to the video so you can see that, how this got made. But basically I did an extract beer for a different video, and I just doubled the recipe so I could have enough to do this video. So the extract beer I did with regular ale yeast. This one is an experiment. I'm going to do it with bread yeast. I have RedStar. I've got a giant Costco-sized brick of this because I used to do a lot of bread baking. Anyway, obviously it's way overkill. But I'm going to use this RedStar yeast to see what happens, to see how it ferments and if it tastes different, how it tastes different. Yeah. So next step here, I've already taken a reading. This is at 10:30 or 10:52. It's just a light malt extract and about 1/8 of an ounce of Citra Hops. So I'm going to go ahead and sanitize my lid here real quick. And these are always funky. Yeah, maybe I got it the first time. I was going to say they tend to be really funky to get the lid on and not make a big mess. Anyway, I have this handy dandy sort of screw-on lid for this purpose. So I'm going to do it over the sink because you just never know if you're going to get leakage. Basically, I just want to try to get some oxygen up in there. I'm not going to go too crazy. I did pour it, I racked it off and poured it, so it's been moved around. So it's not like it was just sitting. It's got a decent amount of oxygen in there. Interesting thing here, though, now that we've got that done, this particular airlock, this came with this, and it's the weirdest airlock I've ever seen. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't have another bung that'll fit this. I should get one. So instead, what you do, if you can get this thing to screw on straight, so this screws down onto the lid. I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to pour this because I'm going to put it in my little fermenter freezer. And I'm going to pour sanitation liquid in here so that it will have an airlock of sorts. I don't really like the design, but it's... Oh, do you know what I didn't do? Well, that was dumb. That was dumb, Steven. I didn't put the yeast in. Let's see. Just looking to see if there's a... I don't think there's a super easy way to open this, to be honest. Well, oh, there we go. Okay. That might not have been the best, easiest way. So how much yeast? I mean, really, a quarter of a teaspoon is plenty, or should be plenty. I'm going to go with half a teaspoon, just because I can. So I'm just going to put it through the airlock hole here. Ooh, that's a tight fit. Still, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't feel like reopening this thing. I should have probably sanitized that first, but what are you going to do? Spend an hour trying to get this thing screwed on again. That's what we're going to do. Well, you don't necessarily need to watch me do this part. I'll get this screwed on one way or another. And then I will put it in the fermenter. And in a month, we will be able to basically try this beer in comparison to the beer with the ale yeast. They both have the same gravity number and everything, so it worked out pretty equal. So it'll be a fun test. So I'll get that. What a pain. I will see you in 30 days, and we'll bottle this up. Hey guys, so it's been a month. The beer is ready to be bottled. So real quickly here, I've already gone and I've taken an ounce of sugar and a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar. I've explained in other videos that the cream of tartar is not necessary, but it helps break down the sugar into glucose, which makes it the most simple possible sugar for your yeast to eat. Probably doesn't make a difference, but you know, I did it anyway. So what I'm going to do, I also took a reading, which I've promptly forgotten. It's actually finished pretty high, higher than I would have maybe thought, so it didn't attenuate that much. But it's around 10, I want to say 1017. I'll put an official reading up on the screen, but I believe it's around there. And as you can see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the beer from the fermenter into the racking bucket here, bottling bucket. I've already attached a, well, I guess you can't really see it, but there's a, here, let me lift it up. You can see there's a bottling attachment that I kind of stuck on there with a piece of tubing. That way I don't have to use a siphon. I can just do one bottle after another after another. So let me transfer this into the bucket and set up my bottles, and we'll get started. Okay guys, so I've moved the camera down a little bit. You won't see my face as well, but now you can at least see the whole sort of setup here. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is probably step right in front of the camera. I don't know that you will be able to see me doing this. No, you can't, but here, I'll just show you. I'm just using a spray bottle filled with sanitizer to spray down the inside of the bottles, and then spray, I like to spray the very outside of them, and then just let the little excess amount just drip back out of the bottle into the sink. I do have a little sanitizer machine that can help with this, but I don't see the point in using that until I have, you know, unless I'm doing a huge amount of bottling. Since this is only going to be about 10 bottles, that's just a waste. Everything here's been sanitized. The sanitizing, the bucket, the bottle wand, the, well, bottle caps will be in just a second here. But you'll see, hopefully you can see, you just fill it up to the top, let it go. And because of displacement, it is the perfect amount of beer that it fills into the bottle. I'm just going to take a bottle cap, sanitize it real quick, stick it on the top, and cap it. That's all there is to it. I do like to turn it and then cap it again. I've had some where I feel like the bottle top might not have been quite as, sealed. But that's it. There's no point in making you sit through all this, so I'm going to fill the next 9 bottles, put a quick label on them so I know what they are, and then they will go in a dark, quiet place for 2 weeks to carbonate, and then we will be back to taste it and see how it tastes. So, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
2 weeks later.
All right, guys, this is fun. Finally finished up the bread yeast experiment here. So on my left, which is probably your right, this one here is the bread yeast. It finished at 4.73%. So it actually did not attenuate out as much because the ale yeast went to 5.1%. So that would make this beer, or should make the bread beer, sweeter because it didn't use up as much of the sugar and a little less boozy. Probably not noticeable, but yeah, we'll see how this looks, how it tastes. I did already try the ale yeast version. Already I'm seeing a difference between, what I noticed before. We're going to see here in a second. This is the bread yeast, pretty clear. I noticed yesterday the ale yeast had a really nice head retention. So it's interesting that the bread yeast one, seems to not have very good head retention. Yeah, you can see it already, right? I mean, this one with the ale yeast, significantly better head retention on this one. I don't know, significantly better, but definitely different. I'm looking at them. You can't tell, but I can see through the light that I have here that they are both pretty identical in color and clarity. All right, well, let's see. I know this one has a very pineapple-y smell from the Citra Hops. This one, this is the bread one, much more subdued. I'd say it's there a little bit, but this one, way, way, way more subdued as far as the aroma. So the ale yeast one here, oh, I need to refrigerate that longer, but yeah, it's very nice. I mean, it tastes basically like a pale ale. Fascinating that it's such a dark color for what's supposed to be a light liquid extract. But it has a bit of a caramel flavor to it in the finish, which is pretty typical of malt extracts. And like I say, a very citrusy, pineapple-y taste from the hops. Now this one is the bread yeast. Oh yeah, so this one, very interesting. So this one, it's maltier, and I'm assuming that's because the bread yeast didn't eat up as much of the sugars, and so it's got more sugar in it, which is changing the flavor. More malty. You still get some of the Citra. Here's my final thought on this. They both are good beers. However, I definitely prefer the ale yeast. I like the flavor better, and you get more of the hops from it. However, if you don't have the money to buy ale yeast, or you just happen to have a lot of bread yeast, this will work. It's not that it's bad, it just doesn't have quite the same flavor as this one. It's more malty, less on the hops, and not quite as high ABV, right? This one finished a little lower, so the alcohol content of this one's just a little bit lower. But overall, they're both good. They're both good. So anyway, interesting experiment. If you ever wondered whether or not you can make beer with bread yeast, you certainly can. I have heard that some bread yeast work better than others. I happen to have, what did I say I used? Oh, I didn't write it down. It was RedStar, I think, because that's what I had. I have heard gosh, I can't think of that. What's the big brand name yeast that we have in the stores for like making bread and stuff? Anyway, I can't think of the name of it. But that one is, I've heard, better for making beer. Like it attenuates better, and I don't know. Who knows? I haven't really experimented with lots of different bread yeast for making beer. But just from this experiment, I'd say you can make beer from bread yeast, but it definitely, I think that I would prefer using ale yeast. I definitely see the difference. It's cleaner. We all know USO5 finishes very clean. But they're both good. They're both good. Just slightly different. So anyway, thanks for joining me on this little experimental journey. I figured, I was already going to make the 1 gallon ale yeast. I might as well make the other batch with bread yeast and just compare the two. Why not? That's the fun of homebrewing. So at any rate, yeah, thanks for coming by. Keep on brewing, and I will see you in a week, next Monday, for another video. And I believe, lucky you, it's going to be another full brew day video. You've had like 3 in a row, so that doesn't happen too often for me. I usually only make 1 beer a month, so good times. We'll see you in a week.